Holler louder. I want to put it right up there where this is going to be a demonstration, so don't let them move it. No, it's somebody's in the audience. So. Yeah. Yeah, that'd be good. Or somewhere in here. So yeah. Can you just put it up here? Just right behind that. That's good. Perfect.
About 481. Oh, he can bring y'all a lot. Thank you, Ethan.
Thank you.
I ran out of pants.
1, 2, 12. All right. Take a hymnal if you would. Look in front of you. If you're up in the upper section, you're probably not going to find a hymnal. You ought to be down here where the rest of us are. Look at 481, when the roll is called up yonder. Are you going to be there, or I'll be there? Stand with us as we sing this tonight. 481. When the trumpet of the Lord shall sound, time shall be no more, and the morning breaks eternal, bright and fair. When the saved of earth shall gather over on the other shore, and the roll is called up yonder, I'll be there. When the roll is called up yonder, 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 I'll be on that bright and cloudless morning, when the dead in Christ shall rise, and the glory of His resurrection share. When His chosen ones shall gather to their home beyond the sky, and the roll is called up yonder, I'll be there. When the roll is called up yonder, 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 let us labor for the Master from the dawn till setting sun. Let us talk of all His wondrous love and care. Then when all of life is over and our work on earth is done, and the roll is called up yonder, I'll be there. When the roll is called up yonder, I'll be there. When the roll is called up yonder, I'll be there. When the roll is called up yonder, when the roll is called up yonder, be there. Brother Jonah Davidson, lead us in prayer, please, sir.
Thank you, Lord, for everything that blessed us with, Lord, on this evening. Lord, just thank you, Lord, just down across the rest of us. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen. Thank you. You may be seated. Number 12. Hey, it's great to see y'all back. This is the one that was on the piano. Testing 1, 2. Y'all hear me? Oh, y'all want to, huh? I guarantee you the altar ought to be full tonight. Amen. Praise the Lord. Hey, it's great to see each one of you tonight. We won't kill a lot of time. Let me just share with you, though, I just came from the hospital, and Tina did have surgery today. They opened her up, and they have internal bleeding. They tried to stop it. He thinks maybe he got one stop. There may be another one. So they left her open. And they're saying if they could get 48 hours before they had to do surgery again, it would be a great blessing. So pray for Tina and Shannon and that family there, Miss Sonia and all of them are there. That honestly, the truth is God answered a miracle today because the doctor said up front, she just don't have no chance. There's just very, very little chance. So she's already come through that with one miracle, so we're trusting God for another miracle. So pray for her. Tonight, I don't need to introduce this guy, or you wouldn't have been here tonight to start with. You've probably already heard him. You know about as much about him as I do. What I've read in books and magazines and all that. But no, Dr. Charles Lowery is a sought-after speaker, one of the top sought-after speakers in this United States of America. And I guess you go across the world too? No, you only... No, only in America. American made, American bred. Amen. Praise the Lord. So would you welcome him tonight, brother? Come.
I'm going to get one of these just to put in my Bible. I just need something to put my Bible on when I pick up that purse, so I'll just stick it right here for now. That'll be perfect. Well, thank you for coming back. We're going to try to teach you some things tonight. I don't speak outside the United States. Humor does not translate, and so you've got to stay in your own lane. No, that doesn't work. So I've tried that and it didn't work. So I know that. We're going to do some things tonight that hopefully going to help you in your relationships. Now, let me just start off by saying today we went really fast. We talked about the stages of relationships, the fact that you went through that wonderful stage, and then you went to war, then you started to wonder, and then you had to work. And so tonight we're going to kind of work. And the reason you have to work is because of that war stage. And why is it? Why do we have this person that you love or even in your family member, whatever? Why can't we get along? Well, a couple of things. First of all, you have personality differences. Opposites do attract from a distance, but opposites do attack up close. And so you have to understand that the differences actually is what's going to make you a better team, my wife and I are totally opposite on just about everything. But that is a gift. And so, matter of fact, I tell pastors want to hire somebody, their associate. They say, well, I want to hire somebody like me. I said, no, you don't. You want to hire somebody the opposite of you that has the strengths you don't have. Otherwise, you're doubling your weaknesses. And when you double your weaknesses, you either get fired or you don't do a very good job. So you want somebody to cover your weaknesses. And so it's great when you marry them. So I happen to marry somebody that covers my weaknesses. But you got to realize these differences are actually God's way of helping you in a relationship. So we have these personality differences. Then we have family differences. You grew up in a family that did things a certain way, and you think that's the way it's done. But you marry somebody that grew up in another family, and they do things a different way. My mother took out the trash. I don't know why, but she took out the trash. Penny's father took out the trash. We got married, nobody took out the trash. I now know men take out the trash. I know that now, but I didn't know that, when I got married. And so we have these family differences. We have personality differences. And one of the huge differences we have is male-female differences. Now, I know in America they say, that there's not male-female differences. Well, they're idiots, there's definitely male-female differences. Let me just give you a research study. They hooked up brains, men and women, and they played them a novel so they could actually listen to a novel. And as they're listening to the novel, they watch the brain respond. And when a female is listening, both sides of the brain, the brain has two hemispheres, and then there's that corpus callosum that kind of connects them. And when a woman is listening, both hemispheres light up, and there's some connectivity between that callosum between the two hemispheres. When a man is listening to a novel, only one side of the brain lights up. Now, let's be honest. Many times you women have been talking to a man, and deep down you're thinking this is like talking to someone with half a brain. I mean, haven't you thought that? Well, you're absolutely right. And so that is a deficit for a man. He can do other things better, but in terms of communication, he is way handicapped. That means when you say, look him in the eye and say something like, let's talk, that's like, give me leprosy. Why don't I just get a root canal instead? That just stresses him out. He doesn't want to talk. He doesn't want to come to this tonight. The reason I do it on a Sunday is I have to literally win the men over to convince them that I'm going to be somewhat entertaining, because guess what? I don't want to go to relationship conference either. But that's our weakness. That's what we have to work on. So we have these male-female differences, and we'll talk a lot about that. But let me see if I can illustrate that visually so you can understand it. This is a woman, and this is a man. Women are complex. Men are simple. You come to my house, you'll find we have lots of towels. We got towels that match other towels. We got towels that match the floor. We got towels that match the paint. We got decorative towels. Nobody uses those towels. We got guest towels. People we don't know, they use those towels. We got lots of towels. What if I lived by myself? 2 towels. One wet, one dry, alternate 6 months, throw them out, buy me 2 more towels. But it wasn't good for man to be alone. He needed more towels. You see, men are simple. Women are complex. I'm simple. I go to bed, 1 head, 1 bed, 1 pillow. Nope. We got 11 pillows on our bed. I take 6 off every night. I put 6 back on every morning. Why? I don't know why. I don't know why. Because it wasn't good for man to be alone. He needed more pillows. That's why. We bought a brand new house. Brand new house. My wife looked at brand new wallpaper and said, that's got to go. I said, it's new wallpaper. She said, I know, but it's not me. I said, it's not me either. It's wallpaper. Wasn't good for man to be alone. He needed more wallpaper. You see, women grow up differently. Women grow up communicating, talking, cooperation. They've documented at 4 years of age, 100% of what little girls say is totally intelligible. Men grow up not cooperating, competing. King of the hill, capture the flag, put a helmet on, seriously injure the other guy. That's how we grew up, you see, that competition. We went on our first vacation, and my wife says, can we stop at the rest area? I said, not till I pass that Chevrolet. She said, what Chevrolet? Chevrolet passed me 30 miles back. I've been trying to catch ever since. That Chevrolet. You see, it's hard for a man to stop at the rest area and let all those cars pass him that he spent so much time passing back there, you see, because we grow up competing. That's why when you ask him what happened at work, he gets all competitive, all defensive, you see, because that's how he thinks. That's how he grew up. You see, a man is just a 10-year-old boy grown up. That's all he is, you know. And to understand a man, you got to understand 10-year-old boys. You see, 10-year-old boys grow up. And by the way, 100% of what 4-year-old girls say is totally intelligible. 100%. They're already communicating, already talking. 4-year-old boys, 40% of what they say is totally unintelligible. Sounds, grunts, groans. You don't believe it? There's probably some 4-year-old boys over there somewhere. Just walk over there. They'll be boom, boom, pow, 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 boom, 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 boom. Just a bunch of sounds. By the way, men never outgrow their need to make their sounds. You know, that's just part of it. We grow up totally different. You see, men grow up wanting the approval of a mother, of a female. Most men in America, 99% now with all this transgender stuff, it's hard to know exactly, but most people grow up nurtured by a female. Men grow up being nurtured by a female. They grow up with trying to get the approval of a female. Watch. Thank you. I'll go. I only got so much time. But you see, watch a 10-year-old boy. What does he do? He does tricks for his mama. Mama, watch me do this. Watch me hit this. Feel my muscles are not strong or not big, or I'm doing so good. And she says, oh, you're so strong. You're getting so small. You're getting so tall. Oh, man, you're doing so good. You were the best in the school play. I mean, of everybody in the whole play, you were the best. How you were that tree and you stood there the whole time and didn't say a word. You were so good. You were so good. And he says, oh, yeah, I was so good. Man, I did so good. Feel my muscles, aren't I fantastic? And he thrives on the approval of a female. But then things start to change. Starts to become a teenager, starts to get in high school, do stuff. And he says things like, I made the team, Mom, and looking for that, feel my muscles, aren't I wonderful? She says, yeah, but you can't spend your life just playing ball. You got to study. You're flunking algebra. You're never going to get into college. And well, yeah, but Mama, I did that. Yeah, but your room's a mess. It's about to be condemned by the health department. But Mama, yeah, but you can't do that. And he starts looking for another woman. Come here, feel my muscles, aren't I wonderful, aren't I fantastic? And what does she say? Oh, yes, you are. You're so cute. You're so handsome. I think you're the best on the team. I don't know why the coach doesn't play you. She thinks I'm wonderful. Mama, I'm going with her. Why? Because he longs for a female that thinks he's wonderful. It's the male ego. It's the male. You say, what's the best way to handle a man? Tell him how wonderful he is. You say, you mean you got a PhD in psychology, and that's the best advice you can give me, that to just tell him how wonderful he is? Yep, that's pretty much it. He's a 10-year-old boy grown up. You see, a man, just take a man. Well, you say this. Let's put it this way. You say, well, wait a minute. My husband isn't very wonderful. Oh, so you found somebody that can make you miserable for the rest of your life and you married him? You thought, well, that's a jerk. I think I'll marry him. No, matter of fact, I think you thought he was wonderful. Matter of fact, let's just role play. I'm a psychologist. Let's role play. Let's just call his name Bill, because I grew up in the 60s. Anybody grew up in the 60s? Met him on a Monday and my heart stood still. Do run, run, run. Remember that? We had songs that had meaning. Do run, run, run. Do run, run. I didn't know his name was Bill. Let's call him Bill. Let's go home and you tell your parents, I'm getting married. And your parents, no, you're not getting, yeah, I'm getting married. No, you're not ready to get married. Yes, I am getting married. Well, you're not going to marry Bill, are you? Oh, yes, I'm going to marry Bill. No, you can't marry Bill. No, he's not right. No, you, yeah, and what do you say? You don't know Bill like, and you started telling them all the wonderful things about Bill. Well, what happened to old Bill? I'll tell you what happened. He either quit hearing wonderful things at home or he started hearing wonderful things somewhere else. Men gravitate to wherever people think they're wonderful. He's a 10-year-old boy grown up. Man stays at work, doesn't want to come home. I've worked with guys who make multi-million-dollar decisions at work, just like that. Why? Because at work they say, man, great idea, you're so smart. At home they can't decide where to go to dinner. Why? Because we went there last week. I don't like that place. You know? So a man will gravitate to wherever he hears those wonderful things. And see, the ego is so involved, he doesn't even understand, hey, they're paying people at work to tell you that, you know. The ego doesn't figure that out. The ego just craves that. You say now, well, what if he is not so good in this area? Tell people in public. Public is better than anything. How good he is in the area he's not so good at, and he will kill himself trying to be good at it. I promise you, it's the male ego. You say, well, that makes no sense. It might not make any sense, but it's true. See? So how do we get through all this? Let me see if I can give you some things that will help you, because we are definitely different. First of all, before I forget to do it, let me give you the number one reason you don't have great relationships, okay? The number one reason, and here it is. You wait too late to communicate, okay? You wait too late to communicate. And I'm going to give you a word, and the word is psychological, but I'm going to break it up into two words, psycho and logical, okay? Let me give you two examples. Let's just say that it's been a horrible winter. It's really been cold, and it's just about the first day of spring, and the guy goes to the garage. And he looks in the garage, and the garage is a mess. I mean, we've been piling stuff in the garage all winter, and it has been a long winter. And he said, man, this garage is a mess. We got to clean it up sometime. He said, but boy, Saturday is going to be a perfect spring day, and there's my golf clubs, and I haven't played golf in months. Man, I'm going to call my buddies, and Saturday, man, about 9 o'clock, we're going to tee off and going to have a great game of golf. So I need to do that. So he walks out of the garage. And about an hour later, the wife walks into the garage and says, man, this place is a mess. Man, we've been throwing stuff in here all winter, and man, it's just a wreck. But I know Saturday is going to be a beautiful spring day. What a great day for family cleanup, just to clean this garage up, man. That's just, start about 9 o'clock, man, we just get this thing done. And she's got that in her mind, and he's got golf in his mind. Now, if they wait and they don't talk about it anymore until Saturday, when he gets out his golf shoes, it's going to be psycho, okay? Because by then, all the emotions have already set on playing golf, or her emotions are set on cleaning the room up. Now, it could have been logical, okay? Like on Tuesday, if a couple hours after she got out of the garage, she said to her husband, man, I noticed the garage is a wreck. Man, we need to get that thing cleaned up this weekend. So on Saturday, let's have a family cleanup day. He could say, oh, well, yeah, it is a wreck, that's for sure. But man, I really wanted to play golf on Saturday. But yeah, I tell you what, it does need to be cleaned up. I'll call the guys, and we'll get a lot earlier tea time. I think we can get off about 8 o'clock. We'll just play golf. We're not going to do the lunch and all of what we usually do. I can get home by 12:30. We'll just say 1 o'clock start time. The whole family will clean up this garage and have a family cleanup day, and then I'll take everybody out to dinner to celebrate that we got the garage cleaned. It could be logical. But if you wait until too late to communicate, it's psycho. I had this couple in Dallas. They came to see me, and they were on the verge of getting a divorce. And so I tried to find out what was going on. And I always separate, men and women because I've been in lots of fights. So I talked to the mother first. And I said, what's going on here? So she told me that she's a stay-at-home mom, got 3 preschool kids, and she's just exhausted. Dad works. He comes home from work about 5:30, 6 o'clock, and she sees the car come through the window coming up the garage, up the driveway, and she says, Daddy's home, and these 3 preschool boys run toward the door to greet Daddy. And you know what preschool kids carry around. It's kind of gross, they jump on him. Well, Daddy, I found out later, is in commercial real estate. He's making lots of money. In Dallas, during these years, everybody was making money in commercial real estate. It's kind of like Monopoly, just go around and get the money. It became like Monopoly in the end, too. Everybody got the go-to-jail card. But at the time, he was in commercial real estate making lots of money. And he wore, I found out this later, he wore Italian handmade suits to work with real people's names in them. You know what I mean? I saw the pastor's coat had J.C. Penney. I guess that's a real person's name, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about $5,000 Italian real people named suits. So he would come home in his $5,000 suit, and these preschool kids would jump on him and get stuff all over his suit. He'd get mad and throw one down, the other and jump on her. He'd get mad. Then it would be psycho. It'd be psycho. So I talked to the wife first, and here's what I always ask. It's a very good question, and it's a question you need to understand because it is the key to great relationships. And it's this: what are your expectations when your husband comes home from work? Most of your relationship problems, most of your work problems would be solved if you verbalized expectations before events. You see, if you're a boss at work, all of your employees, you need to verbalize your expectations of what it means to be successful here. They need to know what they are, see. And you do that in advance. You do it logically, not psycho. So in advance, I told her, what are your expectations when your husband comes home from work? And of course, she verbalized, if he could just help me with these kids. I am so exhausted, and I just need a little help. It's like I'm going under, and I just need that help to survive. I said, well, you ever shared that with him? No, we end up fighting about it. I said, okay. So I dismissed her, and he came in. Same question to him. What are your expectations when you come home from work? And that's when he went into the suit, the coat, how much it cost, all that kind of stuff. And then he said this: if she would just give me 15 minutes, that I could go to the back of the house, get off my work clothes, get on something like a rubber suit, that was his exact words, that I could hose down, then I would love to help her with the kids. I know she's exhausted. I said, have you ever told her that? He said, well, not really. We just fight about it. I said, I'm going to bring her back in. I want you to lean forward, look her in the eye, and tell her what you just told me. She comes back in. He did the same thing, went through the whole thing. Rubber suit, if you just give me 15 minutes. She smiles, looks back at him, and said, if I know you're going to help me, if I can see the light at the end of the tunnel, I'll give you 30 minutes. We literally solved their problem in 35 minutes. Now, I charge them for the full hour, because, I mean, if you're good, get the money, right? But because we talked it out. The number one reason, I promise you don't have great relationships is you wait too late to communicate. And then you don't work it out, you have it out, okay? So number one reason you don't have great relationships. Now, let me start with 1 Peter chapter 3. And I'm just going to paraphrase it, but just to save time. And I'm going to talk about men. It says in 1 Peter chapter 3, if you're a woman, that you win a man over without a word. Literally, it says that, without a word. Now, why would it say that? You know, it says that because, remember, men don't communicate well. And so words to them are not positive, they're usually negative. And the Bible, in other places, puts it very bluntly. When you use too many words, you're a nag. You're a nag. And the Bible says you do not want to be a nagging woman. And the reason it says it because men don't respond to it. Men bow up at it and want to do just the opposite. If you nag them about doing something at the house and you nag them every day, they'll wait till the day you don't nag them, and then they'll go do it, because they bow up, It just doesn't work. Matter of fact, the Bible says it's better to be in the desert than in the house of the nagging woman. That's what the Bible says. It says it better be on the roof than in the house of the nagging woman. I mean, I didn't say this. The Bible says it. Okay. So don't be a nagging woman. You won't win him over that way. You'll win him over by being on his team. And then the Bible uses a word. It says being in submission. Now, submission gets a bad rap. Submission is the key to great relationships. And it's not a male-female thing. It's an everything thing. I am in submission to this guy right here. He tells me when to stop. He tells me when to start. He told me what we're going to eat today. I'm in total submission to him. He's calling all the shots. Now, is he smarter than me? I doubt it. It has nothing to do with any of that. It doesn't have anything to do with equality. It has to do with the fact that's the way life works. It doesn't work the other way. If you're the parent, then the child is in submission to you. If I'm going to a church, I'm in submission to the pastor. You go to work, you're in submission to the guy that's over you. You can gripe about it and holler about it all you want to, but that's the way life works. And it works best that way. And by the way, it has nothing to do with equality. Let me just explain it to you this way. Whenever you want to understand anything in this book, let me tell you how you understand it and stay mentally healthy. Everything in this book, everything. And by the way, you learn from the Old Testament, but you live in the New Testament, or else you will be in bad shape psychologically, because the Old Testament's pretty dysfunctional. So they got some strange families in the Old Testament. Think about everything in the Bible. If you want to interpret it, you interpret it this way. Submission, everything. You interpret it in terms of Jesus. It's all about Jesus. It's all about Jesus. Everything. Old Testament, New Testament, it's all about Jesus. And that'll keep you healthy. Because see, well, let's just take the Old Testament. How many read the Old Testament lately? Hey, God wiped out some folks, didn't he? I mean, if you're an ite, Jebusite, Midianite, Gazuntite, Samsonite. I mean, you're done. I mean, if you're an ite, boom, you're done. I don't know why he didn't get the termites. I mean, how did he miss the termites for those ites? I don't know. But matter of fact, one mother was trying to explain to her little girl about the Old Testament, and finally the kid said, "I think I understand. The Old Testament was before God became a Christian." Well, not really, but. The ultimate example of submission is Jesus Christ. Was he in submission to God the Father? Yes. Was he equal to God the Father? Yes. Was he just as good as God the Father? Yes. Has nothing to do with equality. It's the fact that Jesus chose to put himself in submission so the great work of salvation could be done. You choose to put yourself in an act of submission so great things can be done, you see. Now, if you do look at the Old Testament, it's interesting because in the Old Testament, matter of fact, in the New Testament, Jesus would put it this way. You think God's like this. You see, Jesus came to show us what God's like. And he'd say, you think God's like this? He's really like this. And he'd tell those stories. You think God's like this? Let me tell you how good God is. God is so good that he went around, for example, if he had a lost sheep, just one sheep, God is so good, he would go looking for that one lost sheep. That's how good God is. God is so good. Let me tell you how good God is. God is so good, even if he had a kid live with the pigs, and that's the worst thing a Jewish kid could. Even if he had a kid live with the pigs, God is so good, if he saw that kid coming, he would throw a party and run to that kid. That's how good God is. God is so good, if he had 99 sheep and just one was lost, God would go looking for that one lost sheep. You think God's like this? He's really like this. Let me tell you how good God is. That's the way Jesus talked. Now, why did he talk that way? He talked that way because of the Old Testament. The Old Testament, God did wipe out some folks. He did. And in the Old Testament, the word Father is mentioned, but it's not mentioned much. And when it is, it's impersonal. It's like the Father of many nations. But if you get in the New Testament, it becomes personal through Jesus Christ. And now, Father is even sometimes translated Abba, Daddy. This impersonal God becomes your Father, your Daddy, through Jesus Christ, you see. And how did Jesus get that accomplished? He went around telling people how good God was. That's the key to the life. Not only go around telling people how good your husband is, just go around telling people how good other people are. You'd be amazed what that'll do for your relationships. Because let me tell you about your Adam suit, your body. It's selfish. It wants what it wants for you. You know, that's why you feed it. That's why you clothe it. That's why you do what you do with it. But see, your Adam suit will never be totally redeemed. God's got to kill your Adam suit to get you into heaven. He's not going to redeem it. He can't. It's done, you know. Because your Adam suit just wants what it wants. You know, your Adam suit does not want to feel better. To act better, it wants to feel better. It does not want to plan, it wants to pill. It doesn't want education, it wants medication. That's my Adam suit and your Adam suit. You say, now wait a minute, Charles, we're here on Sunday nights. We're the best. Yeah, but you're still sorry, no good, you know. How about the Apostle Paul? Probably the greatest Christian to ever live. You know what he said about his Adam suit? The things I want to do, I don't do. And the things I know I'm supposed to do that, I have a hard time doing that. That's not a teenager. That's the greatest Christian that ever lived. So what does that mean? That means we're in trouble with this Adam suit. You've got to constantly guard it because it always will want what's best for it, not what's best for your marriage, not what's best for your family, not what's best for your life, but what's best for your selfishness. And that will destroy you. See? Because there's a way that seems right to man, but at the end therein is death. See, it's not, the problem is it's not in the short term. It's not in the immediate, it's in the long term. See, if bad things happen to you immediately, I wouldn't have to go around the country telling people how to live. They'd soon figure it out. They would soon figure it out, you know. My wife and I were in Mobile, Alabama. I was supposed to speak the next day. And I was just about to close the curtain, you know, in that hotel room, just about to close the curtain, when the hot light on the Krispy Kreme came on, you know, like a sign from God, you know. I said, honey, look, sign from God. Let's get some exercise, walk down the Krispy Kreme. Now, let me give you a word. The word is rationalize. It means rational lies. It's lies you tell yourself to get what you want. Now, see, the world system is a Ponzi scheme. The world says things like follow your heart. That's the worst advice you can get. If I followed my heart, I'd weigh 350 pounds. You can't follow your heart. You know, your heart's deceitful above all things. You have to tell your heart what to do. But we rationalize. They're just rational lies that we tell ourselves to get what we want. See, so let's get some exercise, walk down the Krispy Kreme, because that's what I want, Krispy Kreme. You know, and then when we get down there, guess what? They're cheaper by the dozen. And God wants us to save money, right? So another rational lie, let's get 12, you know. And that's when I realized I can eat 8 by myself. It's just hot fried sugar. It melts in your mouth. And guess what? No consequences immediately, just pure pleasure. Didn't have to change my pant size or breeches. Yeah, just pure pleasure. Now, if you do that regularly, you're going to get on the scale. It's going to say one at a time, please, because you're going to get big, right? See, if it happened immediately, I wouldn't have to go around the country telling people how to live. They'd figure it out. If you took a bite of Krispy Kreme and fat and went bloop, you'd go, good night. I'm not eating any more of those, and you'd walk away. But it doesn't happen that way. Matter of fact, there's a verse in the Bible, it's not a very pretty verse, but it says, like a dog returns to its vomit. See, at first you have the world, but then the world has you. See, that's what habits are. But anyway, I don't know how I got off on that. That has nothing to do with relationships. But so let's get back. I'm a little ADD sometimes, so it just goes off there. So men, we talked about submission is really just going around doing what Jesus did. Going around telling people how good your man is. Just like Jesus went around telling people how good God is. Just go around telling people how good your man is. And watch him try to measure up to it. Watch him try to measure up to it. Now, women, on the other hand, are different. Remember, they're not simple, they're complex. Women want intimacy, which means into me you see. We're afraid of intimacy. We don't want to know, all that. So you have to learn how to love a woman. Now, women are complex, and all women are not loved the same way. If I could tell you how to love my wife, all right, I'd appreciate if you not do that, okay? So you have to learn how to love the person in your life, just like you learn how to love your kids. You love your kids in different ways because they're all different. But you have to learn how to do that. So how do you learn how to do things? Well, you have to communicate, and that means you have to listen. So I'm going to teach you how to listen, all right? Hopefully, if you listen. So L-I-S-T-E-N, okay? And make sure I get through all the letters, because sometimes I get off. L stands for lean forward, look them in the eye, okay? You see, a man thinks he can do something else and listen. But part of listening to a woman is that you have undivided attention. So she wants you to put down the phone, put down what you have, lean forward, and look her in the eye. Then when she says something, I stands for inquire. Once she says something, respond to what she said. Like, I didn't know that. Or, why would she do that? Or, man, I can't believe they said that. Something that lets her know that you have listened, okay? Now, I've worked with thousands of men, and I know most of you are pretty pitiful listeners. So I'm going to give you 2 steps that will probably actually be progress for you. When your wife wants to talk, put everything down, lean forward, look her in the eye, and when she pauses, if she pauses, when she pauses, say, tell me more. Surely you can do that. Lean forward, look her in the eye. When she pauses, tell me more. Now that should light up her life. Now, the next thing I have to tell you, it's uncomfortable telling you. It just is. But it's true. And so I have to tell you because I have to tell you the truth. But it is uncomfortable. But I'm going to tell you. When a man leans forward, looks you in the eye, and says, tell me more, he doesn't want to know anymore. I told you it was uncomfortable. But it's true. because he's a man. He's got half a brain, all right? It's like leprosy talking to you. So when he does that, when he puts everything down, when he leans forward, looks you in the eye and says, tell me more, keep it short. He doesn't want the whole novel. Sum it up. He doesn't want the whole newspaper. He wants the front page, you see. He's doing it because he loves Jesus and because I told him to. So be kind to him, you know. You won't win him over with all those words. Guy says, does it bother you that your wife has the last word? He said, no, I'm just excited when she gets to it. One guy, brother lived in the same town as his dad, and his other brother moved off, and his brother called him and said, you know, Dad's passed away. You need to come home for the funeral. So he meets him at the airport. Their mother had a reputation for talking a lot. So he met him at the airport, and he looked at his brother, and he said, well, did Dad have any last words? He said, no, Mother was with him to the end. You know, so, you know. Anyway, so. Okay, let's proceed. Keep it short. You got that, right? Lean forward, inquire. S stands for stop interrupting. You see, men are taught to fix things. So we want to interrupt and give you an answer to the problem so we can get back to doing what we wanted to do in the first place. You know, watch the ball game or whatever, you know. So we want to fix it and get out of it. Unfortunately, she's not looking for you to fix it. She's looking for you to talk about it. She's not looking for the answer. I found out this the hard way. I'm a PhD, but I had to learn the hard way some stuff from my wife. My wife was a stay-at-home mom with 3 small kids, and I would come home from work, and she'd say, Brianne did this, and Casey did this, and Angela did this. And I would tell her how to fix that. Won't you do this and maybe Angela do that? Why don't you do this and Casey do that? Why don't you do that and maybe Brianne do that? She'd say, why don't you shut up? She's walking off. I'd say, hey, lady, they pay good money for this at the practice. I'm giving you it for free. She did not want my answer. There's no answers for preschool kids. I mean, you're alive, they're alive, success, you know? There's no answer. She didn't want my answer. She wanted my assurance that what she was doing, staying home with my kids all day long, was the most important job in the world. And it was. That's the most important job. I'm meeting with crazy people, you know. I don't even know who they are. This is my family. This is my kids that she's taking care of. She needs my assurance that that's the most important thing. She hadn't heard an adult voice all day long until I come home. That's what she needed, my assurance. She doesn't need my mouth. She needs my shoulder, you see. So stop interrupting. They don't need the answer. They need assurance. Now, I have to balance this out a little bit. Women interrupt men, but it's totally different. And this is going to be, again, a little uncomfortable, but it's the truth. Women remember everything in terms of relationships. They remember where you were standing, what you were wearing, where the sun was setting, what purse she had when you said such and such, all right? Men do not remember any of that. It's gone, all right? So when a man is telling a story that people are involved in, especially that the wife knows or if she's involved in it, the story is not going to be factually truthful. But it is the best he can do. Because he's a man and it just isn't there anymore. So he makes up the stuff that isn't there. And he's telling it to other men who don't remember anything anyway, and so they're not going to call him because they know he's not going to call them. It's man talk. It's what we do. So if it's going on in public, ladies, do not interrupt with the facts. Some guy would be telling a story, and he'd say, we went to McDonald's, and the wife will say, it was Wendy's. Well, it was a hamburger place. Who cares? Whatever it was, you know? And it was on Tuesday. Well, it was Wednesday. It was a weekday. Who cares? You know? And we were with the Joneses and the Smiths, and she would say, it was the Joneses and the McCullochs. Well, the story's about the Joneses. Who cares who they run around with, you know? And then finally he'll just say, you tell it. Women, let it go. It's not lying, it's man talk. When you get to heaven, St. Peter's not going to say you let your husband lie about the details, you got to go to hell. It ain't going to work like that. Let it go. Lean forward, inquire, stop interrupting. Tell them what they said and how they look, because nonverbal communication is important, and ask if you're right, if it's correct. Don't assume anything. Assumption is the lowest form of knowledge. I used to be a college professor. I taught one chapter was on communication, intro psych, and I would always have a fill-in-the-blank test, and the first question was always, blank is the lowest form of knowledge. And I'd want those students to write in, assumption is the lowest form of knowledge. Had a football player in my class. He put, my brain is the lowest form of knowledge. And I gave him credit. I think he was right. You see, we make these assumptions about things instead of checking it out to see if we're really on the right page. A man will come home and say something like this, let's go get a steak. And his wife will kind of yawn. Oh, that sounds good. And then she won't get kind of quiet. And then a man will assume, well, she don't want to go. She never wants to go where I want to go. You know, she always wants to go get a quiche or salad. Every now and then I want a steak, but she never wants to go where, and he just builds himself up on that assumption. And then 10 minutes later, she may say, I thought we were going to get a steak. Well, we were, but she don't want to go. You never want to go where I want to go. And then it ends up fighting when they could be eating, you see. So when you come home and you say, well, let's go get a steak, and the wife yawns and, says, yeah, but it doesn't look like it non-verbally that she really wants to go, that's what you say. Honey, you said yes, but you look really tired and you act like you really don't want to go. Do you really want to go or not? Oh, yeah, I need protein. Man, I've had a long day. I'm really tired, but that's just what I need. Let's go get a steak. You see how that could be solved so easy if you just work it out instead of have it out, you see. Don't make those assumptions. And by the way, remember the male ego? Remember the reason he doesn't make decisions is because he gets criticism. So whatever a man does at home that has next week you're not even going to remember anyway where you went to eat, When he says, let's go eat at such and such, look him in the eye and say, great idea, let's go, Don't say, we went there last week, I hate that place, He's going to quit bringing up stuff, He's going to stay at work where they love his ideas instead of at home. So, great idea. When you're working with a man, the word great idea is a good word to use over and over again. Remember, he's a 10-year-old boy grown up, with that ego. Now, let's just give another illustration. Let's just say you buy your dream house, and houses, I don't know, in Dallas, they cost gazillion dollars anymore. But let's just say you buy your dream house, $700,000. You buy your dream house, and you're in about a month, and your wife says, this pantry sure is inconvenient. A man will then start, in his mind, what? $700,000 inconvenient pantry? Now she doesn't like this house. You have to sell this house, pay another real estate commission, buy another house, going to cost me another $100,000. The pantry's inconvenient. Or you could, instead of just verbalizing all that on the inside, verbalize it on the outside. It says, honey, You said the pantry's inconvenient. Does that mean you don't like this house anymore? Oh, no, honey, I love this house. This is our dream house, man. I love this house. But, remember our other pantry had 4 shelves, kind of like right here? If we could just put 4 shelves right here, this would be perfect. You see how 4 shelves cost $100? You say you just saved $99,000, because you worked it out. You didn't assume, you ask. See, that's what you have to do in listening. So, lean forward, inquire, stop interrupting, tell them what they said, and ask them and how they look, and ask them if you're correct in your assumption. E stands for, and I use this in different things, and I'll probably do the encouragement later, but E stands for 2 things. One is encouragement, and one is express comfort. If you're going to stay in a relationship for a long period of time, you're going to have to learn how to comfort each other. And men have a hard time just showing up when it's time for comfort. And it's all you have to do is show up. You don't have to say anything. You just can't run and hide. I don't know how many people I've worked with where they've had a tragedy and people will show up and not say anything, but they remembered who showed up. They remember that. It's comfort to know that those people are there for you. And so if you're going to live a long life and have a long marriage, bad things are going to happen. I have a grandkid already in heaven. I have another grandkid that had a stroke at age 2 years, has a rare brain disease, and still has issues because of that. Penny and I have places around the country that we go to, that we've gone to for years, that give us comfort. And it's usually around mountains or the water, something that's bigger than your problems that God made relaxes you. And so have places that you go, things that you do that can give you comfort in a very difficult world out there. And by the way, when you do have bad things happen to you, you don't get over bad things. You learn to live with bad things, but you never get over them. They're always part of your life, And so, and by the way, when people do go through bad things, it's usually something practical that you can do to help. Forget marriage. Just living life, you need relationships to help you get through it. There's some hills in life you can't get down by yourself. Let me illustrate that. When we first moved to Dallas, we both grew up in a little town in South Carolina, and my dad was a country preacher. We didn't have any money, and we were so poor. I used to tell them when I was little, we were so poor the lady next door had to have me. The rainbows in black and white. We were poor, you know what I mean? And so we moved to Dallas. I'd never seen so much money in my life, when I moved to First Baptist Dallas. I mean, I was there 2 weeks. The guy called me from the finance office, says, "You want to see a check for $1 million?" I says, "You bet I do." Ruth Ray Hunt gave $1 million, First Baptist Church Dallas. And she gave out of her benevolence fund. In other words, she just had a whole checking account that she gave out of. But they had all kind of generous people so I'd never been around people they just lived a different life than what I lived. And what I discovered is that they wanted us to be a part of that life. And so part of that was, my first year I was there, I went to Cancun, Mexico. Penny and I, all expense paid, to speak to the Young Married Retreat in Cancun, Mexico. And then I did the School of Prophets in Hawaii that summer. And I thought, this is a pretty good job. And so, but part of that too was ski retreats. They would always have these ski retreats in Vail and whatever. And they wanted me to be the speaker. And I'd never snow skied in my life. And so I tried it out, and it was bad, It was a contact sport from the beginning with no airbags, and I found out that the right leg didn't always follow the left leg. I don't know why, but it was tough. And I just didn't like. Any sport that has an ambulance at the bottom of the hill. Why are we paying money for this, you know? But my wife loved skiing from the start. I mean, she just loved it. So, because, you know, she kind of runs my business part of it. We got other people to help, but she kind of makes the major decisions because she's my wife. And so she says, you know, you're speaking of this group. And I say, no, I don't want to do that. They're not paying me enough money. Well, yeah, we're going snow skiing at Vail. We're doing this one. Oh, well, yeah, we're doing this one, you know. So we did a lot of ski retreats, a lot of them. Well, how many have been to Vail, Aspen, and some of those places snow skiing? If you haven't, let me help you. Here's some exercise. Get you ready to go. Just before you have to go to the bathroom, put on 4 layers of clothes. Just before you have to go to the bathroom. Find some gloves, soak them in water, and then put them in the freezer for 2 days. And then put those gloves on your hand and go around like that till they thaw out. You know, you'll be almost ready, but not quite. Find some stairs and just run up those stairs. And then come down without your legs. Just boom, 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 boom. Run up there again and boom, boom, boom. And you'll almost be ready, but not quite. Then find the wall and just run into the wall. Just run into the wall. And when you're trying to get up, have somebody put ice down your back. Put ice down your back. And whoever's putting ice down your back, you give them all the money you have. Here's all the money I have for doing this. Well, as you can see, I just don't like snow skiing. Well, we're going on this snow skiing trip because Penny wants to go. And it's a leadership ski retreat. It's in Vail, I think. And the first day was awful. It was just awful. So I told my wife, I'm not going today. Second day, I'm not going, taking the day off. She says, you're the leader. It's a leadership conference. You have to go. I said, I don't know, I have to go. They're paying me to speak. They're not paying me to ski. I'm not going. I'm sore. She says, how could you be sore? You jog 2 miles a day. I said, when I jog, I very rarely fall down or run into trees. And I have fallen down and run into trees, and I'm very sore, and I'm not going. She said, what are you going to do? I said, I'm going to spend some time with the Lord. You see, Christians, we spiritualize our psychological problems just like everybody else. And she said, how are you going to do that? I said, I'm going to sit in the hot tub because I'm sore. So she walks by the hot tub, and I'm in it already. She said, I thought you were kidding. You really are going to sit in the hot tub and not be the leader of the ski retreat? I said, yeah, that's what I'm going to do, sit in the hot tub. She says, then she starts quoting me, you know, like, you got to face it to fix it. You got to grow up and show up. And I'm thinking, those are for other people, you know, quit quoting me. Then she gives me that disgusted look. You know, women go to school and they teach them disgusted looks. I don't know where it is, but it's somewhere, you know. And so she gave me like disgusted look 23 or whatever. So I'm in the hot tub, and some of my buddies come by and they say, you know, we heard you're having a hard time, man. We just want to help you. Why don't we just take you today on the little easy slopes, just work with your technique, and just kind of make it a little more pleasurable than it's been. And I knew they were trying to help. Well, okay. It's going to be all about you today. Let's do that. So we go out there, and they take me on. And if you ever go snow skiing, the green slopes are like, they got sweet names like Peter Rabbit Run and Peach Blossom Hill. And I'm on these easy little slopes like Peter Rabbit Run and Peach Blossom Hill. And we're doing really good. And then all of a sudden, we make a turn. Boom, pow. And we're on a black slope looking straight down, and there's nowhere else to go. And by the way, when you get to the black slopes, forget Peter Rabbit Run or Peach Blossom Hill. It's no more about public relations. It's names like Casket Runaway, you know, or Paul Bear's Peak, names like that, which is kind of, you know, Greek, I guess, for you're going to die. I mean, you're going to see Jesus. So I am turned on this black slope. I'm looking straight down, and I'm going to die. I'm confessing sins I just thought about doing. I mean, I'm going to die. You know, I'm surrendering to foreign missions. I'm talking to God. God, I know I should have been to Haiti. I just didn't go, and I'll go next time. Just don't kill me today. Scared to death. Had a buddy of mine about 30 yards down on the side of the mountain. He said, Charles, do not look down. Look at me, make your little S's, and ski over to me. And I made my little S's. I skied over to him. Then he went to the other side of the mountain. He said, don't look down. Make your little S's. Come on. And he got me down that mountain. Let me tell you about life. There's some hills you can't get down by yourself. Michael Catt's a good, we talked about Michael today. He's my best friend. I lost him last year to cancer. My other best friend, 3 years ago, about 4 years ago now, wife had cancer, and we knew she was going to die. He would call me on the phone. We'd try to pray. We'd just cry. His wife, Donna, passed away. I'll never forget the day he called me. He said, Charles, would you come do the funeral? And said, the church has given me a month off. And he said, what am I going to do? They said, take a vacation. He said, I've never had a vacation without Don. I don't know what to do. I said, you come to Dallas. We're going to plan your vacation for you. And you won't be alone the whole time, because we know a lot of the same preacher guys and stuff. He's a golfer, so I know the preachers who play golf. We planned this whole vacation for a month, go all around the country, meeting up with guys we know. And then 1 week, we wanted to go to this place. So I'm going to fly out there, and I'll spend the week with you, because you don't need to be alone, during this time, because you can't get out it by yourself. That's what you have to understand about life. You have to have relationships in order to get through things. And you have to work on these relationships, so when the difficult time comes, then you'll be able to get through the difficult time. So express comfort. The other E is encouragement, and I'll talk about encouragement in a minute if I get through that other word, which who knows. So let's do N, L-I-S-T-E-N. Okay, I made it. That's pretty good. N stands for, guys, never look at your watch when your wife is talking. Now, remember, a man is a 10-year-old boy grown up, so he gets nervous when you're talking. It's not fun. So he's going to fidget. He's going to do things. He's going to look at his watch. So here's the key. If you can find a legitimate fidget, that relaxes him and he can talk. You see, men talk around activities. They have a very hard time just talking face to face. I'm a golfer. Most of my friends, we talk on the golf course. Well, the golf swing lasts 2 seconds, okay? That's all, boom, boom, it's 2 seconds. Even if you hit it 100 times, you only played golf 200 seconds, 1.5 hours, right? So what did you do? That's how men talk. We fidget, talk, fidget, talk, fidget, talk, fidget, talk. Women can talk. Makes us nervous. So you have to have a legitimate fidget. I'm going to give you one because I want to make this practical. Learn to take walks together. It's a legitimate fidget for the man. It relaxes him because you're doing something physical. He's walking. You have a much better chance of agreeing because the body and the mind are connected. When you're walking in the same direction, it's almost impossible to disagree. Matter of fact, if you're walking in the same direction and you start to disagree, just about everybody in the world has to turn toward each other. They can't walk in the same direction and disagree. It's almost impossible. So learn to take walks together. It's a legitimate fidget in order to do that. Okay, so now, am I supposed to just keep going or are we going to take a break? You need a break right now? Okay, I'm just going to go right through then. I can talk forever. Okay. Yeah, just give me that water there. Thank you. I'm going to do the word lover, Lover, okay? And I may not get through it, but who cares? Okay. If you want to be a lover, let me give you these things that are important to being a lover. The first one is to laugh, to have fun. It's amazing to me how miserable Christians are. I mean, they never have any fun. I mean, I go to most churches, you know, if the joy of the Lord is our strength, they couldn't whip a sick rabbit. I mean, they're no fun. Now, Jesus had a lot of fun, you know. What's the first thing that Jesus did to start his ministry? What did he do? What's the first thing when he started his ministry? Anybody know? You'd think it would be a cottage prayer meeting, all-night revival. He went to a party. He went to the wedding feast at Cana. He went to a stinking party. I won't even get water wine deal. I did that in children's church one time, and kids said, "Why did Jesus turn the water to wine?" Another kid said, "To keep the party going." You know, so I won't go there. Christians should have more fun than anybody. You know, we've been totally forgiven. Sins aren't going to be held against you. Why aren't you laughing a lot? You know, when I was a kid, lived at the parsonage, we got a promotion. We lived in literally a 3-bedroom, I think it's like 1,100 square foot house with no air conditioning in South Carolina. I had 3 brothers in my bedroom, so I slept on the top bunk with heat rising in the summer. I was miserable that's when I said, I'll never work for a church. I'm going to make some money so I can get air conditioning one day, you know. But one time we got a promotion, and you know, church work is always good news and bad news. Good news is we got a promotion because they got us a better parsonage. But it was 3 miles away, okay? It wasn't at the church, which was good. We didn't have to live at the church because the cemetery was right there. But anyway, we got 3 miles. But the bad news is 2 services now, 1 car, we all had to come in Sunday morning, you know, for both services. So I had to get up for that early service. 4 kids getting up for the early service. So it was crazy, you know, screaming, hollering. You can't wear that at Sunday. You wore that last week. No, you know, eat your Fruit Loops. You got 22 seconds to eat your Fruit Loops. Praise God, we're going to church. You know, I'm trying to eat my Fruit Loops, you know, screaming, hollering. And I call Dad the heavenly honker, you know, because he's out there honking the horn. I got to go, you know. I'm thinking, why don't you come in here and help? That'd be good, you know. But anyway, so we get in the car, slam all the doors. I'm the 4th child. I'm the baby of the family. So you know where I am. I'm in the middle, on the back seat, on the hump, you know. How many remember humps in cars, you know? I'm in the middle on the hump like this, you know. Everybody mad, Dad's late again. Can't y'all and then we passed the heathen's house, you know. Every you know, community has their heathen family. They don't go to church. And our heathens were on the corner, you know. And the heathens are out there playing softball, you know. They're laughing and playing softball. And of course, Dad's in his underwear drinking a Bud Light. But they're laughing and Dad sees the heathens. Look at those heathens out there. They don't know the joy of Jesus. My brother Fred and I in the back seat saying, let's be heathen when we grow up. I think I'm going with the heathen. There's not much of a choice here, man. When was the last time you just had fun as a family? When was the last time you just had fun as a church? You know. Now, it's hard for churches to have fun because you got religious people. Jesus had the same problem, I promise. Because you see, if you want to have fun at the church, this is just a fun event. All the religious people, well, you can't. You got to talk about Jesus. You mean you're not going to say anything about Jesus? No, we're going to have fun. You know, because you see, if you have fun with people, then they'll want to know about Jesus. See, if you, all churches, they try to convict before they connect. And it's like bumper sticker religion. But see, let me tell you about bumper stickers. They either make you mad or glad, whether you agree with them or not. Because you don't know them. You don't know the people. So it's just that one bumper sticker. Well, I can't believe that. I don't like that person. Bumper sticker, Well, that's the way we are Christians, really. We're just bumper stickers. They don't know you. They just see your bumper sticker. See? Connection always comes before conviction. As a family, as a church, just have some fun. Enjoy life. When I was a pastor, we did power lunches every month, where I just went downtown and the business people came to hear me. And I told the church people, I said, look, if you're going to get upset about this, don't come, because I'm not going to talk about Jesus. I'm not going to talk about the church. I'm going to help these people. I'm just going to help them with biblical principles. They don't know their biblical principles yet, but one day they'll find out. And one day they'll connect with me, and one day they'll come up after it's over and say, I heard you talk down at that church. You said today we baptized over 3,000 people. That's exactly how we did it. Because after a while, these guys would come up and say, I heard that you talk down at the church on the weekends. I think maybe I need to come down there, bring my family, you see. Man, you know what I had to tell the church people? If you go to power lunch, here's your goal. Try to act as normal as possible. Do not bring up church. Talk about the weather. Talk about football. Talk about normal stuff, all right? Try to convince them you're normal, see? Or they're not going to show up at your church. That's why visitors, they're afraid of us, because anyway, have some fun, laugh. O stands for overlook. Another thing about your Adam suit is we want people not to get away with stuff. It's just part of us. And that's God's problem, that's not your problem. It's in us. I had a guy call me 2 a.m. one night, tell me my dog was barking. I called him 2 a.m. the next night, tell him I didn't have a dog. And now I'm not proud of that. But there's just something in us that we don't want people to get by with stuff. But here's the key to life, of having a happy life, to enjoy life, is to realize that one day God is going to overlook everything you've ever done or will do because of what Jesus did on the cross. You don't have to pay. He paid it all. You don't have to pay. But we want to collect from other people, you see. We want other people we want to play God. We don't want for other people to get away with that stuff. Learn to overlook. There's a play called Philadelphia, Here I Come. It's a powerful play. It's about a man and his son who never could get along. And the man, and by the way, if you're a man and you have a teenage boy and you have these two characteristics, there's a strong possibility the teenage boy will grow up to hate you. And these are the two characteristics. If you're always working, and you're always right about everything, be careful. Well, this kid left his home, said he never wanted to see his father again. The play takes place in Ireland, but the play is called Philadelphia, Here I Come, because a young man decides to go to Philadelphia to seek his fortune. So he decides to come back one last time to see his mom and maybe even see his dad, because he knows he probably never see him again. He's going to America. He comes home, and at dinner it went well with mom. It always did. It never went well with dad, and it didn't at dinner. But late that night, they bump into each other at the refrigerator for like a late midnight snack. And maybe they were just sleepy, or maybe they're whatever it was. For the first time in years, they actually started to talk. And they started to smile. And the boy said, Dad, you know what? I'll never forget that fishing trip that we took. And they started to reminisce. And the boy said, Dad, I'll never forget that boat. And they started talking about the boat. And he said, Dad, I'll never forget because it was a red boat. Dad said, well, son, it wasn't a red boat. It was a blue boat. He said, no, Dad, it's in my mind. I'm sure about this. It was red. He said, you've not been sure about anything in your life. It was blue. And they start hollering over the color of a boat. And they both go to bed angry. It's a powerful play because the curtain is closing. The boy's at the bus stop going to America, probably never see his family again. The mother has tears in her eyes, waving goodbye to the son. And as the curtain is closing, you can look through the house, and the dad's in the back of the house with his back turned. And you know there's a man and a son who will never have a relationship. And the reason is the color of a boat. And you say, I can't believe people fight over stuff like that. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You fight over stuff as insignificant as that. We all do. My daughter, we were at First Dallas. My daughter had became a teenager. You know how that is. Put in bed normally, wake up weird. So we had one teenager. Had two other daughters. We'd only been at First Dallas a little while, and the family that we became friends with said, look, we're going to go to lunch today. Another family's going to go with us and make some new friends and go to lunch at this place. And so I gave my family the be on time speech. We got some new friends. We're going to meet. We always met at a certain place, and we're going to go out to lunch. Be on time. I gave everybody the be on time speech. Well, everybody was on time but my teenage daughter, Angela. 5 minutes late, no Angela. 10 minutes late, no Angela. One family says, look, this restaurant's going to get crowded. Why don't we go in the restaurant and save a table so when y'all get there, we'll have a table. Thank you for... Other family said, look, we know you don't know the way to the restaurant. We'll wait with you and you can follow us to the restaurant. Thank you for saving the table. Thank you for you waiting on us. And underneath my breath, I'm thinking, I'm going to kill her when she gets here. 15 minutes late, Angela bebops up. You know how teenagers, hey, Dad, how's it going? And by then, I am what King James would call ticketh off. And when you're the psychologist at the largest church in the world at the time, you cannot holler at your kids at church. So you have to develop the fine art of hollering with your mouth closed. So I said, Angela, where you been? I've been to Sunday school. No, you haven't. You're 15 minutes late. Well, I've been to Sunday. Well, why are you so late? I'm going to tell me now. She said, Dad, it's an all-girls class. We have Sunday shoes. We always take them off, and we put them back on at the end. Somehow, during break time, the boys snuck in our class, stole our shoes, and they hid them. And it took us 15 minutes to find them. Well, then I say what parents say. I call them parental stupidisms. They're things that make no sense whatsoever, but they feel good when you say them. So I said, Angela, don't you ever take your shoes off again as long as you live. All parents say stuff like that. A parent will look at a kid in the tree and say, you fall out of that tree and break your leg, don't you come running to me. Every generation has them. My mom used to say to me, don't run around that stick, you'll poke your eye out. I tried to explain it to her. You can't poke your eye out. You may poke your eye in. The only way to poke your eye out, I got that. Well, I was grounded for like a month, you know. So we get in the car, and we're going to follow the McCulloch family to this restaurant. They have 3 girls. We have 3 girls. One of their girls goes with us. One of our girls goes with them. It spreads out the misery. I don't know how it works, but it works, you know. So we're in our car following the McCulloch family. Our car, everybody's happy, going out to eat, and I am mad. I mean, I got the joy of Jesus all over me. I'm mumbling, late, embarrassing me in front of my friends, mad. And we're following this. McCullochs have a gray Buick. All of a sudden, somebody said, is that the McCulloch's car? And I'm looking at that car, and somebody said, that's a Cadillac. And the McCulloch kid said, did we get a Cadillac? You know, like they traded in Sunday school or something. And I'm looking at that car, and then the McCulloch kid said, I don't think that's our car. And then everybody in the car realized Dad is following the wrong car. But do not say a word or you will die. So all of a sudden the car gets totally quiet. Everybody just looking. Well, everybody's quiet except my youngest daughter, Brianne. She's like 7. Let me tell you a little bit about child development. Up to a certain age, kids cannot think abstractly. They only think concretely. That means they don't think. They just repeat. So don't ever say anything in front of a kid under age 7 that you don't want repeated at the worst possible time, all right? One kid, every time he saw his grandpa, says, Grandpa, make a noise like a frog. Grandpa, make a noise like a frog. Every time he said, Grandpa, make a noise like a frog. Finally, Grandpa said, son, why do you say that? Every time you see me, make a noise like a frog. Why do you say that? Well, Grandma said, when you croaked, we're going to Hawaii. And so, so be careful what you say in front of kids, okay? So everybody in the car with a normal brain, they knew do not say a word or you will die. So it's just like total quiet. Except Brianne was 7, did not have a normal brain, did not know any better. Starts laughing. Isn't this funny, everybody? Angela lost her shoes, but Dad's lost the whole car. And I pulled over because I didn't know who I was following anyway, and apologized to Angela and said, I'm sorry I hollered at you at church. And she said, oh, Dad, we all make mistakes. I said, who's the adult? Who's the kid here? Just learn to overlook. It's not worth it. I gave this talk in Arkansas. And that was back in books when I used to sell books. By the way, I got 2 of my books in the car for you. So remind me to give them to you because I just don't like to sell books anymore. I'm old. So anyway, if you want one of some of our books, go on our website. Great books. I just don't want to mess with them. So, but that was back in the days where I used to go back and sign books and stuff. And so there's a guy in line, about the fourth guy in line. And I could tell he was a little fidgety guy, just kind of fidgety. He's waiting his turn. And he came up and said, that message was for me, because I preached a whole message on overlooking. He said, I have a hard time kind of overlooking stuff. He said, my wife and I got married, and it seemed like every time I'd go to the bathroom, there wouldn't be any toilet tissue there. Just that cardboard cylinder staring me in the face. He said, I told her, why don't you change the toilet tissue? She said, I change it as much as you do. She said, no, you don't. He said, so I couldn't get it off my mind. So every time I found that cardboard cylinder, I would take it off and I'd write the date and the time when I found it. And I started collecting them in a big black plastic bag. I was collecting my proof. Said that went on for about a year. And then one day, toilet tissue came up in the conversation. And I said, you never change a toilet tissue. She said, I change it as much as you do. He said, no, you don't. I have proof. And he ran and got his big black plastic bag, and he started dumping those cardboard cylinders out. He said, I just lost it. I started hollering at her saying, there's a date and time on every one of them, lady. I got proof. She said she looked at all those cardboard cylinders, and she looked at me and said, you're sick. He said, I'll show you who's sick. We're going to see the psychologist. He said he gathered up his cardboard cylinders, made an appointment with a psychologist, and walks in there. Said it looked like Santa Claus walking in there. The psychiatrist said, how can we help you? Said, I got a lady that's never changed a toilet tissue. Said, I was hollering at the psychologist. Said, and I got proof. And I started dumping those cardboard cylinders on top of his desk. His eyes got big, and he started looking at them and picking them up. And he said, you're sick. I carry these around sometimes. You say, why? Because I'm sick. You see, I've got the ability to get downright mad over little things other people do that in the long term mean nothing. And you're sick too. You got the same ability. God, because of Jesus Christ, has chosen to overlook everything you've ever done or will do. But all he asks, you do the same thing. Matter of fact, most of the time he makes it, and I don't understand it. He says it somewhat like this: I'll forgive you the way you forgive others. A little scary. A little scary. So, learn to overlook. I'm trying to do lover, so we'll do good. Lover. V stands for value. How do you give value to people? This may be the greatest relationship principle I've ever discovered, and I'm going to teach it to you tonight. I didn't learn it in a PhD program in psychology. I learned it in the Cracker Barrel restaurant outside of Atlanta, Georgia. Here's how it happened. We lived in Albuquerque, New Mexico for 10 years. And Albuquerque, New Mexico, great Mexican food. They put green chili on everything. But I'm a Southern boy. He took me to a good place today because every now and then you just got to have a good old cholesterol picnic, you know what I mean? I grew up with fried food, turnip greens, cabbage. I got all that today. It was so wonderful. So in Albuquerque, they didn't even have a Cracker Barrel. You know, they finally got one eventually. But so I just missed my Southern cooking. So we're going on vacation, flying to Atlanta, rent a car, and we always stopped at this Cracker Barrel going into the Smoky Mountains. And it's been so long, I was just so excited about my meal. So we sit down, and we have the worst waiter in existence. It's like he took so long getting the water that when he finally showed up with it, I thought, are you our waiter? I don't, it's been so long. Did you grow a mustache? I mean, I don't remember what you look like, you know. You've taken so long, you know. Just trying to, hurry him up a little bit. We come back with the drink order, the Diet Coke and stuff, and it's all wrong, I'm thinking, if fish is brain food, this kid's got to eat a whale. I mean, how can you get them all wrong, Can your IQ test come back negative, I am just getting more and more irritated because he's just messing up. My girls are kicking me under the table, Act like a Christian. You're kicking me on the table. And I wanted to say, I'm on vacation, but. But finally, I just said, done. This is awful. It's pitiful. Pout. Sit there. But my girls totally ignored this young man's pitiful performance. They started treating him like he's a real person. They started talking to him, finding out this was his first job. I probably could have told him that. Found out he's recently married, has a wife who's having a baby. His mother-in-law is coming to live with him. He's all stressed out about it. He's asking my teenage daughters for advice who know nothing. They're giving him advice, and he's listening to it. And I'm just sitting there pouting. But as I'm watching that, this waiter is becoming good before my very eyes. He's back like this. He's smiling. Let me get you this. Let me get you that. Man, I think you'd really like this. It's like he's a different person. And I'm just watching. And that's when God kind of tapped me on the shoulder. Now, I've never heard God speak audibly, okay? I don't get that anyway. If God lives on the inside, why would he go outside to talk? I mean, that'd be like me wanting to say something with my kids. Say, kids, I want to tell you something really important, so I'm going to go outside and hollow in the window. See if you can hear me. I think I just stay inside and talk. So when I say God, it's an inside voice. And it's that inside voice said, Charles, are you watching this? Which God knew I was. He said, you know, you're like the hotshot motivator guy. People pay you money to motivate people. And you were worthless with that waiter. But your girls who know nothing motivated him to be a good waiter. How did they do that? And you couldn't. Well, I'm sure you want to tell me, God. And it's almost as if God said this: because your girls looked at him as a person to love, and you looked at him as someone who could perform a service to benefit you. I thought, wow, that's actually the greatest relationship principle I've ever discovered. Because see, most of us, most work situations, I'm just trying to get you to perform. I'm concerned about your performance. And therefore, I control behavior from the outside in, and it's always temporary. It depends on rewards and punishment. But when you go for the person and touch their heart, the performance comes from inside out. And it always gets better. Matter of fact, I told that story at an automobile convention. And when I tell it at an automobile convention, I have to use words that aren't spiritual. And so I say, you have to find ways to touch their heart to change the task of their hands. If you try to change the task of their hands without touching the heart, it's only temporary. Well, it's a big automobile convention. About 2 months later, I get a call, president of a Mercedes dealership. He said, I was in the audience a couple of months ago when you told that corny Cracker Barrel story. I said, well, didn't think it was all that corny, but evidently you liked it. He said, well, I couldn't get it off my mind. He said, about a month ago, I'd been been back a few weeks from that convention. I was going through the car washes. It says we wash everybody's car that gets serviced, at our dealership. And then they always rate everything we do. Car wash, they're rated 1 to 10. It's always a 10 because we're Mercedes. We sell a $100,000 car, and we got to get it, it's going to be perfect just about. So they're always 10s. Well, I was going through the car washes, and I saw a 9. And I saw an 8. And then I saw a 7. And when I saw that 7, I said, I'm going to go fire the car wash guy. But then the Cracker Barrel story, that guy said, touch their heart. He's a secular guy. He said, I wanted to fire his butt. That's what he said. But I don't know if you can say that in church. But anyway, I did. So he said, I didn't want to touch his heart. I wanted to fire him. But I couldn't get it off my mind. So he said, I'll go down there and I'll try to touch his heart. I won't bring up car wash. I'll talk about his family. I'll call his name because, names are important. You realize cows give more milk when you name them and call them by name. Isn't that crazy? Jersey Joette, you doing good today? You're going to give more milk just because you call, weird. But if that happens to cows, think about how important names are to people. So he said, I'm going to call him by name. I said I had to look up and see what his name was. And then I'd look up and see what his wife's name was. He said, so I was going down thinking his name. I asked him about his family. Don't bring up car wash. Don't bring up car wash. Said I had to give myself this pep talk. So I get down there and, man, I do what you tell me. I called him by name, asked about his family. I'm talking about him. I'm trying to touch his heart. Said I was feeling pretty good, actually. And then I realized, well, I know, but the car wash is still a mess. So I said, well, how's it going down here at the car wash? He said, well, it's not going good. He said, remember a month ago we had a meeting and we told you that the handle was about to fall off on the refrigerator? Well, a week later it fell off. So it's been off for 3 weeks. So we haven't had cool water down here in 3 weeks. So we have to walk all the way up the dealership to get water. He said, man, I forgot about that. He said, if I can't get the handle fixed, I'll get you a new refrigerator. I'm so sorry. He said, anything else? He said, well, remember that same meeting? We talked about getting a microwave. That if we actually had a microwave down here, we could do a lot of our stuff and we wouldn't have to go all the way up to the office for lunch. We could save a lot more time, get a lot more work done. I totally forgot about the microwave. He said, I'll get it today. He said that afternoon, I got them both. Refrigerator, microwave. Didn't talk anything else about car wash. Next week, all tens. All tens. I promise you, if you can touch the heart, the task of their hands will change. And it's permanent because it's not outside in, it's inside out. Greatest relationship principle I've ever discovered. So, learn to value. E stands for encouragement. Learn to be an encourager. Jesus was the greatest encourager who ever lived. I mean, think about it. The lady caught in the very act of adultery. What did Jesus do? He encouraged her. He believed in her. Go and sin no more. I believe that lady's life totally changed. Why? Because somebody saw in her the ability not to sin anymore, to be the kind of person God created them to be. Learn to be an encourager. I tell you what, if you're an encouraging person, people will flock to be around you. They'll flock to be around you. Why? Because everybody's discouraged. Well, let me ask you, how many of you get too much encouragement? You are sick of it, you get so much. People always clapping for you, tell you how wonderful you are, how fantastic you are. Your kids carry around pictures of you in their wallet. These are my parents. I love my parents. Oh, your kids don't carry around pictures of you? You get in your car, you drive off, a policeman pulls you over and says, man, I just want to encourage you for driving so good today. Let me give you money today. Here's something. Nah, it doesn't work that way, does it? Matter of fact, if you're really honest, you're a little discouraged. You become an encouraging person. People will flock to be around you just the way they flock to be around Jesus. You become an encouraging church, people flock to come here. It's a discouraging world, I promise you. And we have the good news. We have the good attitude. We're going to have some fun now, aren't we? Learn to be a lover, L-O-V. V stands for value. E stands for encouragement. I'm going to wrap this up. R stands for realize. I end this different ways. I'm deciding how I'm going to end it. I'm going to end it this way. Realize that God has the power. Let me tell you about life. It's not knowing what to do. It's the power to do it. I've worked with drug addicts. Drug people want to get off drugs. They don't have the power to do it. Most people want to have a great marriage. They don't have the power to do it. It's not knowing what to do, it's having the power to do it. My dad was a country preacher, and it was a pretty dysfunctional situation, really. They used to have Wednesday night business meeting and talk about my dad, and so I crossed off church pretty early in my life. That's why I got a PhD in psychology. I said, forget those church people, So I wanted to help people, but I didn't want to work for the church, so I became a PhD psychologist. So I'll never forget, I went to my marriage counseling course, and my psychology professor was on his third marriage. And I thought, Something not right about that, you know. And then I went to my addictions course, and they said, you know, there's not much we can do about alcohol. And I thought, wait a minute. My dad didn't finish college, country preacher. I saw him kneel down and pray with people who were getting a divorce, and they got up and stayed married the rest of their lives. I saw him kneel down with alcoholics and them get up and never drink again. And I realized, yes, education's important, but knowing what to do doesn't matter if you don't have the power of God to do it, you see. There's power just in the name of Jesus. I used to do a children's seminar back when I had, you know, I was younger. In that children's seminar, I described what it's like for a kid to go to the grocery store. You ever seen a kid go to the grocery store? You take him and stick him in this iron seat. Tell the kid, you're going to see all the wonderful things God ever made, kid, but you're not good at any of this stuff, kid. But I'm going to get anything I want, and I'm going to make you sit on everything I get, kid. It's going to be a wonderful day at the grocery store. Well, kids don't do well at grocery stores. You know. Lady in somewhere in Alabama, I think, saw that video, became a video series. Saw that series and wrote me a letter. She said, that's exactly what happened to me. Said, I was in a hurry. I took my kid. I slammed him in that iron seat. I said, kid, I got 30 minutes to get groceries. I don't want to hear a word out of you. Started pushing up and down the aisle, just piling stuff on. That kid just looking at all that stuff, you know, coming down. Said the kid got about the third aisle. He spotted some chocolate chip cookies. Said, Mom, you think I can have some chocolate? Sit down. I'm in a hurry. Said he got about a few aisles over. Remember those cookies? Sit. Said he got to about the last aisle. Maybe one cookie. No, sit. We're almost done. Said they got to checkout. Said there's a long line at checkout. She was about fourth in line. She said all of a sudden I looked down. It's like his eyes lit up. She said I knew something was coming, but I didn't know what. Now, I've never seen the boy. She just wrote me a letter. But you got to see him in your mind. In my mind, I see him as like a 3-year-old boy in yellow feety pajamas. That's just how I see him in my mind. She said all of a sudden, this little boy stood straight up in his iron seat and said, in the name of Jesus, give me some chocolate chip cookies. She said the whole place just erupted in applause. She said, I didn't know what to do. I ran and got the chocolate chip cookies. Now, what can we learn from a little kid in yellow feety pajamas? Actually, a couple of things. Number one is this. When you get to checkout, and you will get to checkout, you know, death runs in my family, I think it runs in yours, right? Come in this world, no teeth, no hair, no bladder control. That's pretty much how you're going out. You're going to die. Now, when you die, you remember the name of Jesus. That's the only name that's going to get you into God's heaven. It's not going to be where you go to church or how good you were or whatever you do. Jesus is going to get you into God's heaven. And number two, if you're about to check out on a relationship or on a person, before you do, I would ask you to call on the name of Jesus. You may say, my love is dead. And then I would say, this Jesus has been known to bring dead things back to life. There's power just in the name of Jesus. God bless you. You've listened well. I've talked too much.
Hasn't it been great tonight? It's been a great day. Thank you so much, Dr. Lowery.
Thank you.
I have no idea how we're going to remember all this stuff. I'm not even going to go there. Let me just encourage you. In the morning, I said this morning 8:30, but breakfast is at 9 a.m., okay? 9 a.m. in the Grand Hall. It's free. They do donations, and actually the guys cook, and whatever their donations are this last month, they donated $700 to the Academy. Anything that's left over, they give to the Academy every month. And so it's a good breakfast, homemade biscuits and gravy and bacon and sausage and 9 o'clock, 9 o'clock. And remember, the funeral is at 9 o'clock also. So if you eat breakfast at 9, by the time you're through with breakfast, the funeral will be gone from out at Perkins Memorial Chapel, and then we can finish up the work there if you have some extra time to help us. Don't forget, this Tuesday is Hilltoppers. We're having chicken, seafood, sausage gumbo, and so bring the sides for that, 11 a.m. in the Grand Hall also. Wednesday night, back to normal services again. School break will be over with tomorrow, and they begin school Tuesday. So remember to be praying for that. What did I leave out? Thrill on the Hill needs some more people. See Christy or Rosie, and I think that's it. I think that's it. Hey, what's that? Early voting starts Tuesday, I believe. Or is it tomorrow? Okay, tomorrow. Okay. Be sure you vote early. Vote early and vote often. I passed a cemetery the other day, and they were out there already getting names off the tombstone. I'm not sure they're on the side I'm on, but anyway, praise the Lord. Thank you. This is a great crowd. Thank you for being back tonight. Now listen, guys, this is one of the best speakers in America, and he's unloaded on us today. But let me tell you, I want to emphasize the point. Don't be a loner. I've worked with preachers now. This is my 51st year in the ministry. And I'm telling you, the guys who get in trouble are the ones who are loners. And if you've got problems, call me. Call Brother Case. Call one of our staff members. And let's pray together. Let's talk together. Don't end up to the place. The saddest thing in my ministry is usually by the time somebody comes to my office, they've already made up their mind there's no hope. They've already gone through too much, and there's just no hope. I'm telling you, all my hope is in Jesus. Amen? There's always hope. Thank you again for being here. I love to tell the story. 'Twill be my theme in glory to tell the old story of Jesus and his love. Brother Rob Wells, lead us in our closing prayer, please.